Hey guys, how you doing today? Just getting off work, heading on home. Lots of things banging around in my head today. COVID cases here in Ontario have gone up fast and dramatically. From the low hundreds that we were experiencing literally a week ago, and in very short order we've jumped on up, and now yesterday we had an announcement of 300 cases. It is at this point that I start to ask my leadership, what's the plan? I'd like some clear indications, right? When we hit 400 cases, what are we doing? When we hit 500 cases, what are we doing? When we hit 600 cases, what are we doing? What are we doing, right? I take a little bit of comfort knowing that, like, when we went into initial lockdowns, it was there was a sense of urgency and a sense of panic. I think people felt beset on this. The COVID crisis happened very quickly. There was a lot of uncertainty as to what to do, and so people were willing to accept any kind of information or any kind of directive from the people in power because of the speed by which this all happened. Now it feels as though the COVID crisis has been normalized. That we accept that it is here, we accept that it is around, we accept that our way of life is changed, we accept these things. And because we've accepted these things, it means that as the numbers begin to climb, people do not have that same sense of urgency or that same sense of anxiety or uncertainty. And to a degree, I think that's because we do have plans now, right? We do understand the virus a little bit better. We do understand its transmission pattern. We do understand masks help a great deal. And I feel like people have been very accommodating here in Canada. Although I understand that there was a big protest in Montreal fairly recently where thousands of people showed up. It was an anti-mask protest. So what do you do? What do you do about that? You do have a segment of your population that is gathering in large places, some of them wearing masks at an anti-mask rally, which is like, so you acknowledge that the masks are important enough to wear, but you're still protesting it. So in many ways, it's like you're just shaking your fist at the situation, right? And it's hard for me to be angry at that. It's hard for me to say, oh yeah, because I get this. This is another reason why I think there is less of the urgency, is that I think people are kind of just over the situation. They want this to be over. They want their regular kind of quality of life back. They want to be able to hug people and shake people's hands and meet new people. I mean, I'm recently single and I'm finding it very difficult to meet new people in these circumstances and in this climate. And people are like, forget about the breaking the ice social barrier that exists. Like, I work in retail, I feel like I do fairly well at breaking that barrier. It's this secondary barrier, this health barrier, this unspoken, unseen barrier that exists around each one of us now. And so I feel like the combination of, like, people feel a little bit more certain, a little bit safer about the plan of the structures of power in regards to facing this. I know my own workplace has gone through pretty large transitions and pretty large changes because of all of this. And so that gives a sense of confidence. And yet within that sense of confidence, reality does assert itself. And if reality says, oh, hey, you're going to have 800 cases a day, you're going to have 1,000 cases a day, right? Like, we've got to be serious. And we have to take seriously the idea that we could be facing another lockdown. And that lockdown can happen over Christmas, which from a corporate capitalist standpoint is a complete disaster. Like, that's an economic wipeout. Like, forget complaining about having reduced sales over sort of a slow period anyway. Like, locking down over April, May isn't the worst thing, right? Like, sort of a slow period. The only better time would have been literally January, February. But locking down over Christmas, it's going to wipe out businesses. It's going to wipe everybody out. And I when I say everybody, I mean everybody, like everybody. That there will be no exceptions to the level of devastation that a lockdown over Christmas would cause. But when I say devastation, I strictly mean capitalist economic devastation. If we pass a basic income, and if we live, and if we fund people, if we give money to people to ensure that they can pay rent and get food, we'll be fine. We will be. Like, the economy, the billionaires will suffer. The billionaires will make slightly less money for a minute. They'll have a bad year. The rest of us, our lives will be normal-ish, right? Because we're providing food and shelter for everyone. And I think as long as we're focused on the needs of the base people, of the most basic person, right? As long as their needs are met, we'll get through this just fine. We will. It's if we start thinking institutionally, if we start thinking, oh, we need to support this institution or support that institution, the people will support the institutions they choose to support. And if those institutions fail, then the people weren't supporting them. It really is that simple. And I feel like once this COVID crisis finishes, I think that there will be businesses that come back. And business itself is restructuring, and the whole thing is restructuring, and it's chaotic and it's uncertain, which is why we desperately need a basic income. And I'm very much hoping, like, the Ministry of Labor has said that a basic income is on the table. The Globe and Mail just keeps publishing articles about how good it would be to have a basic income, how it could work. I feel like things are primed. We are ready. And now there's talk of second waves happening. Like, if a basic income is going to happen, it's going to happen now. And I desperately hope that the Trudeau government understands that. Because my hope is that the Trudeau government doesn't want to make something like the basic income an election issue. That for them, this is how they get through this Crown speech vote. That's their perspective, and that the basic income doesn't become an election issue. That's what I really hope, because I want the next election, which should happen, not this year, should the Liberals and the NDP work together to get through this throne speech vote with a basic income. My hope is that the next election is about climate change, and that's what the election is about. Because climate change, like this COVID stuff, is going to make, like, what we're going to go through with climate change, it's going to make COVID look like baby talk. We're going to look at COVID fondly. We're going to think back on COVID and go, oh man, that wasn't so bad. Remember that? That wasn't so bad. It was better than this. For sure. If we don't do something about it, and if we don't move on it now, if we don't prepare for it now, we will be talking about it that way. Like, I'm sitting right here. I'm looking out at a big old lawn right across the way from me, thinking there's absolutely no way that lawn should not have potatoes, carrots, radishes, cabbages. Like it should be a garden, for sure, for sure. I used to be a beekeeper, right? I have every intention of plopping a beehive right in the middle of that, letting them pollinate like crazy, getting a really good garden. That would be exactly what I think should go, exactly like right there, and down the street, all the way, all the way. You've got green grass lawn, forget that. That's done. That is a garden. Like, I think we're mental. I think we're out of our minds if we think we're going to be able to do anything else. Like all this wasted green space on grass. Are you kidding me? But that's done. The And the election, I think, also carries with it, like, this is a bit of a pivot, but it's definitely in my head, and I need to talk about it. The I have really ripped into these conservatives, and and I'm getting quite concerned about them. Aaron O'Toole has shown himself to be a fine propagandist. I think he understands propaganda. I think he gives off an air of authority stronger than Andrew Scheer did. Andrew Scheer was weak. I mean, the conservatives are weak morally and ethically across the board. They don't really have a position that they can argue. Right? I talk to these conservatives, and they're just delusional. They're just living in a delusional space. And what's scary about the Aaron O'Toole conservatives now is that they are openly using white supremacist slogans and statements, saying Canada first. I mean, that's a riff on Donald Trump's America First, which was taken from the Ku Klux Klan. Like, America First was a Ku Klux Klan slogan that has been used by American politicians attempting to garner the white supremacist vote throughout American history, and Donald Trump is no exception, right? He uses America First as a dog whistle white supremacist slogan that slides under the radar because people who are either clueless or choose to be clueless think like, well, who doesn't want? Yeah, of course, my nation first. Like, my leader should be, considering my nation first, of course. But yes, of course. That's why you don't need to say it. So the only reason to say it is to signal to the white supremacists among you that you are their ally and that they can vote for you safely. Because obviously any leader of a country is going to consider its own country first. Obviously. And the counter arguments I've heard are deranged. Like, they're, oh, that slogan is old. Like, oh, so if we started seeing somebody using swastikas, that would be fine. And some of these guys are saying yes, right? Some of these guys are saying yes to that. That if we started to use swastikas in our propaganda, it would be acceptable. Because the swastika was actually a Hindu thing, meaning peace. It's like, that is not what that means in Western culture. That is not what that means in Western culture. And if you were to start using swastikas, people would understand that your intention is to round up Jews. Like, people would understand that it is your intention to murder socialists. Like, they would understand that. And if you think otherwise, then you are delusional. To a level where it's like, you need to be stopped. That's how delusional you are. But what's scary about what's happening with the conservatives is because Canadians are so gullible, and they're so gulled by, like, obvious, like, he speaks with authority, and people, and he lies to them well. He says, oh, well, now the conservatives are the party of the working people. And no, they're not. They never have been. I don't understand why people suddenly think that they are. And it's because they're gullible. Like, they just think, oh, a conservative said that he likes working people. That must be true. Because conservatives have not consistently lied to us for 20 years, right? Conservatives have not, like, for God's sakes, you've got Doug Ford outright, like, bald face lying over and over and over and over again on almost every single issue during his election, and literally betrays every single person without exception. There's no exception. Like, he lied to everyone. And you think suddenly the conservatives are telling you the truth when they stand up and say, oh yeah, we care about workers for sure. Yeah, we're certainly not going to continue assaulting the poor and the disabled as we always have done and will continue to do. We're certainly not going to do that. So I have no. So this next election, while I hope it is about climate change, it will also be about defeating white supremacy and fascism. And that's the rising white supremacy and the fascism that is building momentum and strength within the Conservative Party. And I am to a point now where if you think that the Conservatives have not fallen into complete fascism, it's because you're A, not paying attention, or B, complicit. It really is to that point for me. You take a look at guys like Derek Sloan, who is an open fascist. You take a look, like you're saying Canada first. Take Canada back, right? Well, take Canada back from who, right? Oh, you want to get rid of these protesters. You want to get rid of these blockade people. You want to more effectively assault First Nations people. Oh, okay. Take Canada back from them, I guess. Because we've always been taking Canada back from those people. Just continue that fine tradition, right, of oppressing minority groups the way that we do. I'm I'm deeply, 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 deeply skeptical of the Conservative Party at this point, and what they're doing is actually very terrifying. Because let's say that Aaron O'Toole is just courting them, is just saying, oh yeah, sure, like I have all these racist fascists in my party, so I might as well, cater to them. Who cares? That way I get their support. I'm a careerist, right? So I'm just climbing. But when I get into power, I have no intention of doing all this racist, crazy stuff that they say that we should do. I'm just using them for power for myself, which that would be the careerist, sort of neutral ethics position to take, right? But when a leader who courts fascists gets into power, he gives permission to the fascists to act as they do, which is as fascists act. And once you unleash the genie from that bottle, and once the fascists feel as though they are the leaders of the country and the ones that are in power, then it allows them, it gives them the confidence, or it gives them the support they feel they need in order to act against the populist. Because they're the leaders, they can do what they want, right? So I feel if the Liberals do the right thing in this throne speech, this next election should be about climate change, and it should be about defeating fascists. Anyway, that's the end of my time, guys. I hope you guys are doing really well out there. I hope you're loving one another. Like the video, because that helps me and it makes me feel good about myself. Share the video if you care, right? Because that gets other people to see it. And make sure, if you're watching and you're not subscribed, subscribe, because that just warms my heart to the bottom of my chest. So just it actually does make me feel really good when people subscribe, because it makes me feel like my message is getting out there. That what I'm seeing is being heard, because I don't think there's a lot of people like me actually doing what I'm doing. And I hope that you support, and I hope that you believe. And I just talked to somebody today, and they said to me, we got to get to know our neighbors better. One of the good things that came out of this COVID thing is that people are starting to say hello to each other on the street. And I said, you know what? Just walk across the hallway, knock on your neighbor's door, write them a note, give them some cookies. Do anything. Just get to know them, connect with them in any way you can. Because if things get real, those are the people that you're relying on. Anyway, guys, I love you all. Good luck. Have fun.